So I just want to get ready for the inevitable flood of stories saying that the reason that The Witcher Blood Origin failed is because of people not liking diversity and not liking women and hating non-white people and stuff like that. Wanted to get ahead of it. So I wanted to talk about that because I'm sick and tired of these pathetic people in the media who are pretending that they don't understand certain things or pretending that they forget history. I wanted to bring up something about this whole woman thing and diversity thing that's really it's just getting on my nerves, and I wanted to bring up certain things from the past to kind of I guess shoot down the argument that a lot of these shows and movies are failing because they have non-white people in it, because they have females in it. That's not a thing. I've been alive for a while, and I've seen many television shows, many movies that people have watched that starred women. From things like Xena, Warrior Princess, which was a big success. People watched it, to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Both the movie and the television show were well received, to shows like Alias. All of these shows had female leads, and people watched them. Enough people watched them to make them a big deal. Alias helped launch Jennifer Garner's career. It helped her get married to Ben Affleck. I'm just kidding about that last part. But it helped to launch her career. It was not an all-female show, but it was a show and the show, Alias, was not only female-led, but it was a diverse show. The show started, I believe her partner at the time, Jennifer Garner, was like a secret agent or something like that. And I believe her partner was this older black male, and they would go on missions and stuff together. And the show wasn't a great show, but it was decent enough, I guess. I really only watched it because of my attraction to Jennifer Garner at the time. But hold on, let me pull up something on my computer. But that show, which was that was starring a woman and that had multiple producers who were female. I think almost all of the producers of the show were female. That show was sort of a big deal. Had diversity. It had a woman lead. She was a strong female character. Same thing with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Strong female lead. That show also came from a movie that had a strong female lead. Xena Warrior Princess. It had two strong female leads in the role, and it had a little bit of homosexuality, and it kind of sprinkled in the background. You had La Femme Nikita, Dark Angel. There were so many shows that came on TV that I watched growing up that starred strong female characters. And people watched them. If they were good, people watched them. If they were bad, then people didn't watch them and you never really heard about them. But if they were good, people watched them. You had shows like Charmed, 3 female leads who were all strong. You had Alyssa Milano, who knew some kind of martial arts. She would be kicking men around the room like they were rag dolls. Nobody complained. People watched the shows. The show was out for 5 or maybe 8 seasons or something like that. These shows came out a long time ago and they existed and they lasted. So that's not a thing where people are just upset that there are women on the screen and that there are people who are not. I do believe that a lot of the hate is that when I start watching these videos, a lot of the hate is that there is a lot of racist hate. I'm sorry, I have to say that. But for a good number of us, that's not a thing. We've watched TV before with these characters in it, and these characters were popular. The shows made money. The shows got views, and nobody complained about the show. As long as the show was a good show, nobody had a reason to complain. The reason we're complaining now is because, number one, there is an agenda at work that people are understanding, that people can see. So all those shows that came out in the past that people watched and didn't say anything about, that was fine. We didn't care about that because the male audience, we had our own stuff. So what are we going to complain about? That has nothing to do with us. If we don't want to watch the show, we may not watch it, but we have no reason to complain about it. We had our own stuff to watch. We had our own male cartoons and television shows and movies and video games. We had more than enough. So we didn't care about that. And then within those shows, the shows weren't treating us or the shows weren't pushing propaganda that we were weaker or less than. They weren't they weren't taking shots at us or taking jabs at us just because we have penises. So the shows were made for us and we enjoyed them. So if a show came out that was made for women, well, we may watch it, and we're not going to complain about it. We will try to watch it if we don't necessarily like it. We may not watch it. Like, I never really watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I didn't really care about Xena Warrior Princess or a lot of these shows. Some of them I watched, like Alias. I watched a good number of those. Not when it came out, but I watched it later on streaming platforms later on. But we may not watch them, but we're not going to complain or talk about them. Why would we? We already have our stuff. We're men. We like women. We want the women to have their own stuff. So have at it. If you want to make stuff for them, that's fine. If you make it good enough, hell yeah, I'm going to watch it. That's the reason the Captain Marvel movie made so much money, because we were expecting it to be a good movie. We didn't care that who it starred. It starred an existing character, so we're going to watch it if it's good. But the movie wasn't good, and the movie was poking fun at us, so that's why we started to make fun of it. But it made money because we paid thinking that it was going to be this movie that was just a movie that had a good female character in it. So that's not a thing where we don't watch stuff just because there's a woman on the screen. And most of us, or a good number of us, we don't care that there's non-white people on the screen. That's not a thing. That's being used now. As I said in another video, I was talking about the trailer for the new Scooby-Doo show. That's being used now, I believe, because and this is a wild guess, because it literally makes no sense to me. I'm thinking, I'm saying that because now that I think about it, it's a stupid reason, because I don't know why anybody would do this. Now it's being done just to pull in a new audience. People are either they are jumping into a job where the company they work for already owns the license to a property, or the company gains access to the rights to the property. And instead of, because they're on a time crunch and they just need to fill all these streaming services with content, because you just got to constantly come out with content to keep people satisfied, I think they cut corners, but because they know that they're going to cut corners, they engage in this sort of taboo divide and conquer thing in order to get the attention of people, so that people will advertise for them. People will talk about it. People will post videos about it like I'm doing now, like a dumbass. And people will do all of these things to talk about the show and prop the show up. And that hopefully will be enough to get it trending, so that they can then pull in enough curious viewers to maybe boost their numbers. I can't think of any other reason other than the fact that these people are literally psychotic, and they just blindly throwing money in the trash just to stroke their own ego or try to. It's starting to feel like there's a lot of outcasts, maybe people who weren't accepted by the masses, but by the majority of people in high school or in college, and they decided. They get into this position and they decide, I'm gonna get back at these people. These people they're gonna watch the stuff. They're gonna watch TV the way that I think it should be made, or they're gonna watch things the way that I think it should be made. I can't think of any other reason why you would just continuously throw money in the garbage. You're making a product for consumers. If the consumers are telling you, I don't like your product, so I'm not buying it, why would you keep making it if you're trying to make money? Why would you keep making it if you're trying to make money? So I'm getting way off topic here. But that's the only I can't understand. The thing I'm trying to say is I can't understand why they keep making these decisions. So The Witcher comes out. The Witcher is based on this story and on this. It's on this really. It's based on the story, but it's really running off the back of the strength of this video game, Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. And it's running off the strength of that, and it's taking from just using the story to flesh everything out, the actual story from Poland to flesh everything out. But instead of sitting down, spending the time and money to craft a great story around this Geralt character, they're going off on different branches, focusing on other characters that most people don't really care about. Nobody really wants to sit down and just watch a Ciri and Yennefer show. Nobody really wants to. We want them in the show. Obviously, they're big parts of the show. We want them and need them in the show. But we really want to see Geralt's adventure. Because, again, this show is running off the strength of Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt, which starred Geralt. You played as Geralt. You got to know Geralt. You want to see a real-life action version of Geralt interacting with all these characters. So again, you need characters, and you want characters like Yennefer and Ciri to be in the show. Again, you need them, and we want them in the show. But we don't want to spend the same amount of time, if not more time, focusing on them than we do on Geralt. We came here to see Geralt. So you, for some reason, are going off on these different branches, not really focusing on him and giving us a story about him. And we're not understanding. Why are you giving us the origin story of Yennefer? We don't care about that. And if you want to do that, well, make that a smaller part of the show. You can be quicker with that. Focus more on the character that the majority of us are here to see. And then now they're coming out with spin-offs of characters we don't even know about. Why would we watch this? So nobody's going to really watch this. Not only are we not watching it because we just don't care about these characters. We don't care about them. But you've also let us know, like I said earlier, that as a consumer, what we want and need is irrelevant to you. So we're not going to partake in your product now. We told you what we wanted and you keep spitting in our face. So why would we come out and try to support a product that you're not making for us? That would make us just as stupid and psychotic as you people that are running the show. So this show is coming out now, and I know that they're going to say, well, the reason it failed is not because it's a piece of shit garbage fest. It failed because people don't like vaginas. They don't like the vulva. People don't like the non-white. And that's not the reason. And I brought up all those other shows, but one of the main things I wanted to bring up is to show the difference between two things. So this show it stars a Chinese woman, Michelle Yeoh, one of the greatest actresses of all time. She's been acting. She's been a big part of the film industry as a whole, mostly started in China, but I say as a whole, since the 80s. And she's done it all. She's a beautiful woman. She's a great actress. She's a great martial artist. She pulls off a lot of her own, at least in the past, her own moves and stunts. She engages in these really great, realistic fight scenes. She sells the fights. Again, she's a great actress. She's a great lead. She's this great, great actress that nobody would have a problem seeing. And the reason I know that nobody would have a problem seeing her is because, again, I've been alive for a while and I've been able to experience certain things. One of the things that I experienced is a blockbuster hit that took the world by storm in the 2000s. And that movie was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It also starred Michelle Yeoh. It also starred Zhang Ziyi. It was a show that primarily focused on two female leads. This show was a female story. It was a story about Zhang Ziyi's desire to become this great warrior, her stubbornness, her pigheadedness, her need to be trained. It focused on her love life. I mean, the story went off had all these great action sequences and then jumped into these romance plots that people had no problem watching. It also focused on Michelle Yeoh and her love for the character played by Chow Yun-fat. And this female-led movie was a huge hit. Nobody cared that it had non-white people in it. Nobody cared that the story revolved around two women. Nobody cared about that. We went into a movie and just watched a good movie, a great story with great characters. We didn't care what they looked like or what their gender was. That didn't make that movie fail. Now, according to you, if men are just toxic animals and we will ignore things just because women are in it, and people will ignore things just because non-white people are on the screen, then why would a movie like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, a movie that's primarily a romance film that stars two women, both of whom aren't white, and a movie that's filled with no white people, why would that become such a huge hit? Why would that be such a big success if all of us men who went to see this movie as well didn't like women and didn't like seeing non-white people on the screen? It succeeded because that narrative that you're trying to push is bullshit. As males, if you give us a good story with good characters, we don't care about that. The reason that we care now is because we understand what's happening. You may think that we're imbeciles, but we've realized this a while ago. This started happening in the mid-2010s, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger. Where for some unknown reason, some psychotic people in Hollywood with an axe to grind are just throwing money at this what do I want to call it? At this agenda where they're trying to erase males and to belittle males and to just prop up women and to just blow smoke up their asses for some. And we don't understand why, but we don't give a shit anymore. We're just gonna complain and we're going to negatively review your stuff if it's crap, and we're going to boycott it. That's just what we're doing now. Because you've shown us all this time that, well, I have an axe to grind and I'm coming after you guys. So if you let us know that, well, what do you expect us to just sit on our hands and watch you do it? No, we're going to fight back, and that's what we're doing with these videos, with these reviews, with these comments. That's our way of fighting back, because there's no reason to do it. If you want to push woman empowerment, then you can do what's been done for decades. You can make stories about women. You can give women jobs. You can make obviously you're gonna have to hire and cast women because the story's about women, and you can make a good product, and women will watch it, and some of us men will watch it if it's good enough. The same way that it's done for us for our male stories. Males watch it because it's made for us. Not all women care about going to see Iron Man, but if the movie's done good enough, then you'll have a good number of them that may happen to go and see it too. Just do what's been done all this time. There's no reason to do what's being done now, where you're taking stories about males, erasing the male completely, putting females in the story, and then not only are you erasing the male and replacing him with a female in this story that has been made by males for males, but then within that story, you're poking jabs at males. So you're erasing us and then you're insulting us on top of it? What else do you think we're going to do? Just sit back and say, oh, well, I guess I'll get my dick cut off and maybe I'll turn it into a stew and eat it. We're going to fight back, and that's what we're doing. Movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is something that people need to remember. If anybody remembers the story, there were these great action scenes and this great choreography, beautiful scenery. But when you think about it, the story, it starred women and it was about women, and it was primarily a romance action drama starring two Chinese women. And despite that, us men came out in droves to support that movie because it didn't matter that it had non-white people in it, and it didn't matter that it had women in it. What mattered is that the movie was a good movie. It was a good story. It was something we cared about, something that we fell in love with, something that we thought was great. And so we watched it. If you make garbage like the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon sequel, well, that we're not going to watch. We don't care how many males are in it. If you don't make garbage, if you sit down and you take the time to make something original and something good, then we will watch it and we will give you our money. But when you go out of your way to make garbage and then try to hide the fact that you made garbage by covering it up with this woman empowerment agenda, well, then nobody's going to watch it, not even the women, and your shows are going to fail. And that's what's happening. And for some reason, people keep doing this shit, and I don't get it. But you can be as psychotic as you want. We're still not going to watch your products. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. What is that again?